Well, alright, welcome to the United Matters channel. Kolo Muani transfer explored by the club of Manchester United. And we are going to be talking about Paul Scholes, talking about Manchester United's urge to obviously getting a striker. And then Bruno Fernandes had something to say about that game of Liverpool that United drew 2-2. Many have described it as the best game ever under Ruben Amorim. Welcome to this channel. Smash the like button, comment and share. If you're only watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Rock and David is my name, and hope you guys are really having fun wherever you are. And this channel is what has the best for you as far as Man United is really concerned. 7th of January, it is 7th day of the year, guys. The year is really ultra quick, and I don't know what we are going to do to obviously set our goals and meet them, but the year is really ultra quick, and this is where we obviously have to see ourselves really trying to obviously spice up a little bit and obviously get where we deserve to be as the side of United Matters channel. And now today we have a Kolo Muani story that obviously came up yesterday, and what has gone ahead obviously help it make rounds and obviously sound a lot. It's the reporter. If you've gone ahead to obviously follow up this channel, or follow up this channel and other X accounts that really post content of Manchester United, it's not the first time that you're really getting in through a story linking Kolo Muani to the club of Manchester United. You understand? But none of the credible journalists, when I talk about credible, I'm talking about the tier 1 journalists, have come up and obviously hinted onto this. Not until yesterday, a man known as David Austin, you know him very well, tier 1 journalist working for the New York Times and the Athletic, came up and told us that Tottenham Hotspur, Manchester United and Juventus exploring in Hill to sign Randal Kolo Muani on loan from PSG. Tottenham Hotspur, United, Juventus interest expressed, plus currently viewed as top contenders. Regard 26-year-old PSG France forward among the best versatile attackers available. Now, let me first address the word versatile. You know, Randal Kolo Muani can effectively play across the front three. And if at all you're looking at that system of Ruben Amorim, the 3-4-2-1, this guy can come up and obviously do a very huge job into that system. He can lead the line, and he can play in those two players that play behind the center forward, those two number 10s, and he can play on the right, on the left, and that's what really makes him a very, very important signing for the manager, because he knows to it that we don't have a lot of money, we don't have a lot of resources, and you see to it that we are not even talking of signing this player permanently. It's a loan, you know. And Randal Kolo Muani, I love him. You know, United were linked to him even when he was playing for Frankfurt. If at all I'm not mistaken, was it Frankfurt? I think that Frankfurt, the side was playing for in Germany before he crossed to PSG, and the United were really interested in him. And in that year, that's when United were like, let's go in for Rasmus Hojlund, because Rasmus Hojlund was 20 years of age, and they're like, he's a work in progress and he can obviously do the needful. And when Rasmus came in throughout Manchester United, he was really put into the role of a senior striker. Yet for me, I think a player like Rasmus Hojlund, who is a raw diamond that deserves to obviously be polished into a fine diamond, needs to be what we call a second striker. You know, he should be an understudy of a top striker, and I believe that Randal Kolo Muani coming in through the club of Manchester United will help Rasmus Hojlund not play with pressure, because people are demanding a lot from Rasmus Hojlund, and they are forgetting that he's not a finished article. You know, this is not a number 9 that is really proven, but he has all qualities of a number 9. And if we continue to obviously put pressure onto him, his development will get affected a little bit. You know, he's playing in a team where supply is limited to him. And the last time I really researched, he is one of the least supplied strikers in the league. And to show you that he's really clinical, he is the second clinical striker in the Premier League this season, provided as compared to the number of chances he gets. You understand? I saw very many people fuming when I'm playing against Liverpool that he missed out on that chance. But how many strikers have missed out? And by the way, that angle was really tight. And people are really blaming him, yet that angle was really tight. And by the way, very few goals cross the goal line in that angle. You understand? So, I think we should obviously come up and really appreciate him. But the Randal Kolo Muani charge, obviously to bring him through the club of Manchester United, is really a very huge move into the right direction, I tell you. Because a club like Manchester United will need a player like Randal Kolo Muani. Sometimes I'm like, if Bruno is ineffective, who else can come in and obviously do the needful? Because he is one of those players that he's unpredictable. You don't know when he's obviously going to come up and obviously represent to the fullest. That is Bruno Fernandes. But for Randal Kolo Muani, he can lead the line, he can play behind the striker, and Manchester United is really having shortage in that area. For example, Marcus Rashford, I tell you, he's out of plans for this manager, and you're going to hate to see to it that AC Milan is really raising up their hand to obviously sign Marcus Rashford. You remember that very well. So, as it stands, I'm here waiting to see how this deal is obviously going to be happening, but we face competition from these teams. One, Tottenham Hotspur, and the other one is Juventus. And for Spurs, I tell you, they're looking in a better position, and they have a lot to promise to Randal Kolo Muani, because one, they're having only Solanke leading that line, and he can also be promised to get into the starting 11 of Tottenham Hotspur, because he can be played as a left attacking midfielder or a right attacking midfielder. That is Randal Kolo Muani for you. But for Man United, I think the only position where they can promise this guy to obviously start is leading the line, and you don't know how long it's really gonna take him to obviously hit the ground running, because if you let him lead the line at Manchester United, he's gonna be suffocated, because we rarely really create a lot of chances for our number 9. That is my worry. And for me, I would love to see Randal Kolo Muani playing behind a number 9, playing as one of those 210s for the club of Manchester United. That's what I want to see. And maybe the manager of Manchester United might promise him and tell him, please, my plan is I'm going to drop Bruno Fernandes into the double pivot to play alongside Manuel Ugarte. Then I'm going to come up with you and Amadi Diallo to play in those two positions behind my number 9. And I'm looking at you as a starter. And he's suffering in at PSG because he has failed to obviously impress the manager. And ever since he came in through from the French side of Frankfurt, he has not gone ahead to obviously impress a lot at PSG, because last season in League One, he played 26 games and scored 6 goals and 5 assists. Not bad for him or for his debut season, but as you know, the French League One, you cannot obviously relate it to the side of Manchester United, because if I'm to compare him to Rasmus Hojlund, if I'm to compare him with Rasmus Hojlund, his first season in the Premier League, hear me out, in the Premier League, he played 30 games and scored 10 goals and 2 assists, meaning that he was better than him. In the Champions League, because they all played in the Champions League, and by the way, in the Champions League, this guy played very many games. He played 10 games, he had 1 goal and 0 assists. When you look at Rasmus Hojlund, in the UEFA Champions League, he played 6 games, scored 5 goals and 1 assist. You understand? So, Rasmus Hojlund hit the ground running at Manchester United than how Randal Kolo Muani went ahead to hit the ground running at PSG, meaning that Rasmus Hojlund is a better striker than this guy. But what Randal Kolo Muani gets you is that dynamism. He's a player who has come up and he can play in different positions. And in the system of this manager, You need a player who can really get hold onto that ball and explore into those positions, I tell you. You know, small pockets of space. He's a press-resistant player. He's fast. His skill set is really great. And by the way, if he impresses, he can come in through the club of Manchester United, because looks like United and PSG have gone ahead, obviously, build a very huge relationship amongst them. Though I don't think that our relationship will almost stay the same if at all we really snap Nuno Mendes from them, because Nuno Mendes is like, I don't want to renew my contract, and I want to come to Manchester United, and United want to see to it that they get this deal done and dusted during the January transfer window, because the manager of Manchester United wants a left wing back that can really do things better than Dalot. Though Dalot is obviously getting better and better and better, but the manager is like, I want someone else who can obviously do the needful and really put in a very huge shift altogether for the club of Manchester United. That is it for Randal Kolo Muani, but I would appreciate the signing, and I love it, and I'm waiting to see how things are really going to be panning out for Manchester United into the mix. So that's what we heard about Randal Kolo Muani, but he can play in several positions, and I know he can really add a lot to that attacking phase of Manchester United. And that means if you're bringing in Randal Kolo Muani, only one player should leave amongst the forwards. I don't want to see us bring in Randal Kolo Muani, Zexi and Rashford leave. That is unacceptable, because you'll be left with Randal Kolo Muani, you know, and Rasmus Hojlund to lead the line. In the number 10 position, because we need two number 10s in every game, you'll be left with Mason Mount, who is an injury-prone player, unreliable. Then Bruno Fernandes and Amadi Diallo, meaning that getting off Zexi is unacceptable in this system, unless otherwise we get in another player who can play in that position too very, very, very well. So for me, I like Randal Kolo Muani to come in at Manchester United for the reason that he can play behind our number 9 and he can create lots of chances. Fast player, good on the ball, he's a good dribbler, and most people really remember a lot about him. And what do they remember about him? You know, him when he faced Martinez and really went ahead, obviously missed. I think this was one of the biggest misses into the World Cup, if you remember. You know, he had a chance to obviously see to it that France doesn't go into the penalties, and Randal Kolo Muani went ahead, obviously shoot. And guess what? For me, this was the best save of the tournament, I tell you. 1v1 in the dying minutes of the extra time. If this goal crosses the line, Messi and company wouldn't have gone ahead to be World Cup champions. I tell you, they wouldn't be. They wouldn't be, you know. But Randal Kolo Muani missed out onto that, and those 3 years back, I think, by the time he was 23 years of age. So he was denied by Emi Martinez, and after this, the referee blew the whistle and it went into penalties. And I think that's when Chiomeni went ahead to obviously miss a penalty, and the side of the side of Argentina emerged champions. You understand? So that's how everything went ahead to happen down at that side of France. But Randal Kolo Muani, for me, I would really prefer him to come in through as a player who can play in the number 10 position, because if you bring him in, you're going to suffocate him. And if you're getting in players who are really like Randal Kolo Muani, that can obviously score goals, that can play in multiple positions of Manchester United, I'm 100% backing them. And for the statement of Paul Scholes lacked that, because he said if United are going to bring in a player in January, then it has to be a striker. And this is where people get it wrong. You know, if you tell me that we are getting in a multi-functional player who can play in different positions like Randal Kolo Muani, I'll tell you yes. I'll give you the yes that you deserve, because a player like Randal Kolo Muani is versatile. He can play in different positions and can really lead to be that creative spark of Manchester United behind our number 9. But tell me, if you get in a number 9 at Manchester United, what will change? Because our creative force is not as effective as it's supposed to be. I think we're supposed to bring in players that are really gonna affect our attack, For example, we need players that can, like the left wing back, like Dallo is really looking good, but we need another player in there for you. And we also need another player who can play in that Manuel Ugarte position. You saw how we suffered when Manuel Ugarte came up and played and missed out on the game against Newcastle. We really suffered in that midfield. What does that mean? That there are positions that are really calling, Another number 10, a left wing back, and a player that can do that job of Manuel Ugarte. You get? That is it. Those are the 3 players we need in first before we talk about getting in a striker. Because Zexi, whether it's Zexi, Rashford, or Rasmus Hojlund, if we really rectify the cast or the creative cast at Manchester United, these players will bang in those goals. Even if you bring in Chido Obi Martin, he will bang in those goals like no other. I tell you, he'll bury those chances. But the problem is, we don't have that creative spark at Manchester United. Our creative cast is really lacking. It's really lacking, and we need to see to it that all really goes on well by getting these players. For me, I've given people examples that Man City brought in an Erling Haaland who was 22 years of age. You get? But because they created very many chances, the lad almost bagged 60 goals. 60 plus goals in his first season at Man City. You get? Even this season, he's scoring for fun. In the Premier League right now, I think has like 16 goals. Because they create chances for their number 9. That's what people forget. You shouldn't talk about a number 9 when you're not creating chances. I've always gone ahead to give people examples here. Cavani was here. He was one of the deadliest strikers in the world. Ronaldo was one of the deadliest strikers in the world. Zlatan Ibrahimovic. All of those names have been here, Falcao. But have they gone ahead obviously score like 30 goals in the Premier League, 20 goals in the Premier League? No one scored 20 in the Premier League. I think it's Ronaldo who came close and scored 18. You understand? So, let's all admit, and I want to paint this right, this is the last fix that we should make. But there are 3 fixes that we should make first as a club of Manchester United, I tell you. So, that's what I think. But all in all, Randal Kolo Muani, for me, I give him green light because he's really great and he's a very good player. Then Paul Scholes also came up and said, it's Man United's best game in a long time, including the performance at Man City, where they won. They were better against Liverpool. Obviously, we are better against Liverpool, and this is where the captain came up and said, if we show this here today, why can't we do it every week? It was a question. And if you watched my match reaction, I told you that United has developed that small team mentality. When you're playing against big teams like Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea, these players rise up to the occasion and put in the required shift altogether. You understand? And when Man United is playing against small teams, we obviously don't do the needful. And Bruno knows it very well. And he knows the answer. It's them who are really the problem. And especially him. Why? When you're playing small teams, they play a low block. And United tends to obviously find it hard to obviously break or really they find it hard to obviously unlock the low block of these teams. And that's the problem. That's why I'm telling you, if we really improve on our creative force, we can win very many games of football. And Bruno should ask himself, why doesn't he really create a lot of chances when you're playing against these small teams? When you're playing against teams that really play high line, Bruno will look great because spaces are there. But when you're playing against small teams, his composure is needed. And that's why I tell you, we need a player like Kolo Muani, because in such situation, you can obviously come up and obviously create a moment of magic. Rokan David is my name. I call upon for your reactions into the comments section about Kolo Muani transfer explored by Manchester United. It's a loan, not a permanent transfer. I'm out. Bye-bye.